Good morning. It's Monday morning, and this morning we're going to read Luke 4:14 through 22. Jesus returned in the power of the Spirit to Galilee, and a report about him went out through all the surrounding country. And he taught in their synagogues, being glorified by all. And he came to Nazareth, where he'd been brought up. And as was his custom, he went to the synagogue on the Sabbath day, and he stood up to read. And the scroll of the prophet Isaiah was given to him. He unrolled the scroll and found the place where it was written, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to the captives and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty those who are oppressed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." And he rolled up the scroll and gave it back to the attendant and sat down. And the eyes of all in the synagogue were fixed on him. And he began to say to them, "Today this scripture has been fulfilled in your hearing." And all spoke well of him and marveled at the gracious words that were coming from his mouth. And they said, "Is not this Joseph's son?" So, Jesus goes to synagogues and goes around to various places in Galilee, and everybody likes him. Wow, he's a great teacher. So then he comes to Nazareth, his hometown, and he goes to the synagogue and reads that passage from Isaiah, is it 60, I think, or 61? The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. And he's reading that passage, and he says, yeah, this has been fulfilled today in your hearing. Here I am. And they're all thinking, wow, he's great. Isn't he great? Isn't this Joseph's son? Didn't he grow up over there on Caldwell Street and work with his daddy who builds things? Now, what they're going to say later, in the next bit of the chapter, is, wait a minute, how could somebody from here be like that? How could he know that much? We know this guy, where did he learn all this stuff? And so they begin to get mad at him. But that's coming tomorrow. Here we see him behaving like a rabbi. He reads the scripture, then he sits down. Rabbis always sat down to teach, up front, but they sat in the big chair and they taught. In our terminology, it would be that he stepped up into the pulpit, but they didn't have pulpits. And everybody spoke well of him. He's such a good teacher. He explains the scripture so well. Like a good rabbi, but they're going to reject him in just a few minutes. So sometimes people go somewhere and, it's easy to be a pastor, preacher. It's easy to do almost anything if you don't do it at home, if you don't do it in your hometown. But if you go to your hometown to do anything, everybody remembers things. Yeah, but you're the same kid that was smoking cigarettes with your buddies behind the 7-Eleven back in, '02. And you're the same guy that we used to watch zooming up and down the road, driving a little too fast in your mama's car. All these kind of embarrassing things that you really wish you could leave behind and move along. And if you're at your hometown, it's going to be kind of hard. Jesus is going to learn that here. But for the moment, anyway, they like what he's saying. They like what he's doing. He quotes from Isaiah, "The Spirit of the Lord's upon me to proclaim good news to the poor." And he says that in several ways, but that's what it says. He's here to do, is to bring good news to the poor. He's not bringing good news to the rich. He's not bringing news that will comfort people in their in their secure middle-class lifestyles. He's bringing good news to the poor, which tends to be bad news for everybody else, because it means that we got to give up some things and share some money with the poor, and not just a little bit of money, but like a lot of money. And that's the thing, because we all like money. Nobody wants to share it, and that's kind of where the rubber hits the road in this passage. So think about that today, and we'll hang on, and tomorrow we'll read 23 to 30, and you'll see how everything changes so quickly for Jesus. Till then, have a great day. See you tomorrow.